Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of CCG Media. Today, we're going to listen to an interview with Dr. Matty Knight. Dr. Knight is a professor at the University of District of Columbia, and she had the opportunity to chat with Marsha Jews, where they discussed her work with freshwater snails and how she's attempting to stop the spread of disease in their population. She also shared her philosophies on becoming the CEO of your own career. Without further ado, please enjoy today's CCG Media conversation with Dr. Matty Knight.
I have no idea. Either way, whatever's comfortable for you. It's a you don't care. Ready?
Good evening. This is Marsha Jews for Career Communications Group, Women of Color 2019, the opening reception. And we are here with Matty
Knight.
Matty Knight. I like that.
Thank you. Quite well, thank you. And yourself?
Yes, I'm wonderful. So a very close friend of mine said that we should introduce you and interview you because of all the wonderful things that you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay. And so what we would like to be able to do is find out more about you, what you've done, where you're from, and how you got to this prestigious position, which I don't even know what it is, but I'm ready to find out.
Well, I'm a professor, associate professor at the University of the District of Columbia in the biology program. I am a faculty member in the biology program. And pretty much I'm also a researcher. I do a lot of research and have done for more than 30 years.
On what? What topic?
I'm a molecular biologist, but I do research on actually a snail, just like you find this is a specific freshwater snail. It's very important.
Why?
Because it transmits a very important human pathogen that causes the disease called schistosomiasis, commonly known as bilharzia. And it is prevalent, endemic in most of sub-Saharan Africa. But over 600 million people are at risk of this infection. From a snail. It is second only to malaria in terms of its morbidity, the chronic aspect of this disease, and where you find freshwater bodies like new dam constructions, irrigation projects, rivers, their tributaries, any kind of freshwater, where you find cohabitation of humans next to these waterways, these freshwater bodies. And if you have suitable snails and the humans are infected, they will secrete the parasite out of, depending on the species, from their feces or urine. And the eggs that are shed in feces and urine will hatch in freshwater and infect the snail. And the larval form of the parasite needs the snail. It's an obligate host. So without the snail, the parasite does not continue its life cycle. So that's why I work on the snail, because we want to understand the molecular basis of what makes the snail important in terms of harboring this parasite and how we can block the infection in the snail so we can have a transmission blocking strategy to eliminate schistosomiasis.
How did you learn about this phenomenon?
I actually am from Ghana. I grew up in the tropics, and I actually know firsthand people who got bilharzia.
Really?
Yes, it is endemic in my country, but most people don't know about it. There is a cure, so they get treated with a drug known as praziquantel. Praziquantel, but it is the only drug
that can resolve
exactly.
It. And so that drug is probably very expensive.
It's
and
actually
hard to come by.
not. It's not, because now you can get it free. If you have a suitable snail, and the human are infected, they will secrete the parasite out of, depending on the species, from their feces or urine. And if you have suitable snails and the humans are infected, they will secrete the parasite out of the feces and urine. And And they have been doing this drug regime, treating children in schools to break the cycle.
Okay.
But because we don't have a vaccine, so we can't prevent it. So the natural course of events is you can treat the parasite in the human body. You can treat the snail and kill the snail with chemicals in the water.
Right.
But because we don't have any preventative vaccine, the disease comes back. So the cycle just
yes.
keeps coming back.
Yes. Yes.
So what we're doing in the snail is if we can understand the molecular basis of what allows the parasite to develop, we can shut it down in the snail.
Within the body.
Within the body of the snail.
Okay.
We can understand what molecular pathways constitute whatever it is that the parasite needs to thrive in the snail. And then we can stop it.
Right.
And we can, similar to the malaria, mosquito pretty much is a transmission blocking strategy. And now we know the schistosomiasis, I just told you it's mostly in the tropics.
Correct.
Well, it's not. It's moving into Europe, Mediterranean countries of Europe. And in 2015, it was detected in Corsica.
Really?
Yes.
That's far north.
In France, it's north, it's far north. So now with global warming, whatever it is, we don't know. But obviously there are suitable snails in some of these parts of the Mediterranean that are conducive to harboring the carrying schistosomiasis.
Yes. That's fascinating. From a little snail.
From a little snail.
And we eat escargot, right? No,
We can't eat
we
this
can't
one.
eat this one. You
No,
better not eat it.
no,
Can't
there's
eat
not
it.
much meat
No,
on
not
it.
eat it. Okay.
No,
So you grew up in Ghana,
I did.
and was this part of your family that you had doctors and researchers? Or
No.
How did you get to this point where this is what you wanted to do?
Well, I honestly, be honest with you,
Yes,
I
please.
knew I was interested. I was always interested in science
Okay.
because I went to a school where science was encouraged. I had phenomenal biology teachers in high school, and they encouraged us to learn and be as curious as we wanted. Nothing was out of bounds. I started a science club when I was in my early teens.
Really?
We did a whole lot of stuff that maybe won't even be allowed to do today
In Ghana?
in Ghana, because one of the projects I remember I did with my girlfriend was, my girlfriend Maud. We were interested in screening blood types with the students in the school for rhesus factor.
Right.
Because a lot of people walk around and they don't know whether they're rhesus positive or negative.
Or at all.
So we were probably in what we call Form 4 in the Ghana system, which is probably 14, 15, something like that. And one of our biology teachers, Miss Maya, got us the anti-serum. So we were doing finger pricks of the students. That will not be allowed today.
Right.
And we were screening them. But I tell you what, we screened our chemistry professor. His wife was expecting child number 2. So we sat there and we said to Mrs. Cleary, she's very pregnant. And we said, hey, Mrs. Cleary, what's your rhesus factor? She said, I don't know. And this was her second child.
Wow.
So we knew that she was in danger if she didn't know. Because if he's positive and she's negative, she's got antibodies. And with the second child, it might be dangerous for her and she might need a blood transfusion. So I think we called her over and we did the test and we did his test. He was there as well. So we tested both of them. And lo and behold, she came out negative and he's positive. So we said to her, Mrs. Cleary, you're going to have to go to Ireland to have this baby. So she's looking at a couple of 14-year-olds and she's thinking, are they crazy?
Right.
So she called our biology teacher. This was after school hours. We were doing this in our free time. So Miss Maya came over. Miss Maya looked at the test and she said, well, it looks like they're right, but I think you should repeat it.
Right.
So we repeated it and we did the test in front of Miss Maya. And she said, well, they're right. You're going to need a blood transfusion. So,
Two 14-year-olds.
yes,
Changed this woman's life.
yes.
Oh my God.
So she went back to Ireland and she had the baby. And then we went back and she gave us a box of chocolates
For your trouble.
for our trouble.
And so here we are now.
Yes.
A renowned professor doing research.
I
It's
knew
amazing.
the
You
power
did it.
of science.
Yeah.
And, you know, what I like about science is it's almost like the search for the truth,
Yes.
and it's evidence-based. It doesn't lie. It's reality
Right. Right. Whether you like it
or not.
or not, this just the facts.
Just the facts.
How do you, with your students, and so you're such a beautiful woman
Oh, thank you.
and sensitive to want to even do this research, right? How do you move your students through this process of learning and becoming an adult and identifying their careers and fighting against all of the different obstacles that are in front of them? How do you keep them focused, and what would you tell the parents that they should be doing now?
I have been lucky with a lot of my students and postdocs. I've been very, very lucky, I have to say. But in a school like where I am in UDC, you are looking at a category of students coming in from like an inner city. So they have not been exposed to the best of anything.
Okay.
So you honestly have to instill in them, and this is what I try to do, instill in them that it's not just being a good student that matters, it's putting your back into it if you want it. In other words,
Put your back into
put
it.
your back into it if you want it.
And that back means
Stay on the job.
right.
And I tell all the students who walk through my door, and they know my mantra, you are the CEO of your career.
Wow. Oh, I like that. Of your career.
You are the CEO of your career. And their eyes just go.
It makes sense.
So what you put in is what you're going to get out. I'm here to help you. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to tell you that this is not an easy road, especially if you're a woman.
Right.
There are going to be barriers all the way. There are going to be rejections all the way. But understand that it is a process.
Right.
It's not overnight.
Right.
If you get some bad grades, knock it off. It's one bad grade.
Brush it off and keep going.
Yes. So I've had some students who have dropped out, but I'm on them. So I have their emails, the ones who dropped out. I have their phone numbers. I have emails. So I'm constantly on their back.
Really? Oh, I love that. I love that.
And I'll tell you a funny story.
Yes.
This Monday, this week, October, I'm Roman Catholic,
Okay.
and October is the month of Mary. So we pray the rosary. I
Okay.
don't know, Catholics,
Yes.
we have our beads
Yes.
and we say the rosary.
Yes.
And so I was driving into work and I was praying the rosary for one of my students because she had dropped out of doing the lab work, the research with me, and she's phenomenal. She's got amazing hands and very bright. But she had some hardships, not enough money. She has to work. Most of our students have to work. So I had her in my mind. And I went into the office and I heard one of the professors shout, "Oh, hello," mention her name. And she walked in and I said, "Oh my God, you are a miracle. I prayed for you this morning to come back to the lab." And she started in the lab on Tuesday, just this week.
Beautiful.
So she's ready. She wants to do this. She's
Right.
very happy to be back.
Right.
And so we went
Right.
through the ropes for her to pick up where she left. She dropped out a whole year. So now she's back and committed. I told her it's not about being bright. You got to persevere. Honestly,
That's very interesting.
it's not about being smart. It's not about being clever. There are a lot of geniuses walking around. a lot of clever people walking around, but you got to persevere regardless, because life is
And
going
you
to
gotta
knock you down.
you gotta put your back in it. You got
Got to
be
put your
committed.
back in it, and if you want it, if you don't want it, that's a totally
Go do
different
something
thing.
else.
Exactly.
And don't waste my time.
I never tell them that
But
because
in essence, there.
Yeah.
Why are you wasting?
you see,
it?
because I have a teaching philosophy which goes like, we all learn differently.
Yes.
We all absorb differently.
Yes.
So I never tell a student that you can't do this or you're not capable, because we all have our strengths and our weaknesses.
But is it the strength or the weaknesses versus their commitment?
Well, at the end of the day, you have to discover your own strength,
Your commitment.
your
How-
commitment,
that's right.
and how you
How bad do you want it?
exactly. And that's why I tell them that you are the CEO of your career.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This was wonderful.
Thank you.
And I'm certain that your children are learning tremendously from you. And it's just the way that you look at life that's critical for children to be able to see it. If they can't see it at
Yes.
home, they got to see it somewhere.
From a very early age.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank you. My pleasure.
good doctor.
Window without my glasses.
Whatever you like for your glass.
Welcome back. Thanks for watching today's edition of CCG Media. There's still time to nominate for the Women of Color STEM Awards. Visit us at www.ccgheroes.com. Also, please visit our publication websites, www.blackengineer.com, www.hispanicengineer.com, and www.womenofcolor.online. You can subscribe, leave comments, and share the articles with your social networks. It's an empowering resource for the information you need in a community that's affecting the world around you. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to come back here tomorrow at 3 o'clock sharp for our next edition of CCG Media. Until then, take care and stay safe.